The Crucial BX500 1TB is one of the cheapest SATA SSDs with a total capacity of 1TB available on the market right now. In this review, we shall see if it is as good as the competition or even as good as the MX500 series from Crucial. The BX500 1TB version has a price of around $100 or euros, a price which puts it close to the competition, and by that I mean other SATA-based SSDs that have the same or around the same capacity of 1TB. The design of the Crucial BX500 is rather simple, and that's not really a bad thing. It is an SSD after all, a basic storage device that should be doing one thing: storing your files in complete safety and with good speeds. Not look good and showcase how many RGB LEDs you have, just saying. Anyway, the SSD is made out of metal and it is quite sturdy. The two parts of the SSD casing are not held in place by screws, as it was in the case of the MX500, but it uses a basic clip mounting mechanism to have some bit of saving costs on production. Once opened up, you get to see just how small the SSD really is, and this is not really that uncommon, as many SSDs that have the 2.5 inches form factor are in fact much smaller inside the casing. Nevertheless, the BX500 uses a single side PCB design, which means that basically all components and chips are installed on just one side of the PCB. Here we get to see the two flash 3D NAND memory chips. These have the model number 9RB2D and NX894. Given that there are only two chips, we can safely assume and say that these have an individual capacity of 512 GB, giving the total storage capacity of the drive at 1TB. Since we are talking about the memory chips, the BX500 is an SSD that is using the QLC technology. This of course results in an even lower cost of production for each unit. The controller used in the case of the BX500 1TB is the Silicon Motion SM2259 XT. This controller is a SATA 600 controller and is capable of running without a DRAM cake, but it uses an SLC cake instead. The main disadvantage of an SLC cake over the DRAM cake is that once it is being filled up, the speed of the drive will be lowered until the transfer is complete, and thus the cake is again empty. Now that we've covered what is actually making this SSD work as it does and how it looks like, let's take a look at how the performance is, and let me tell you, it is not bad at all. Now, why I would have liked to throw some graph at you and be done with this review, I won't. I will just show you the footage of copying a total of 10 GB of files from an Crucial MX500 SSD to this Crucial BX500 SSD. Each file has a total size of roughly 2 GB, and as you can see, the speed did not move at all and stayed at a constant 500 MB per second. Not bad at all, especially for an SSD that uses a SLC cake. Now obviously we have the usual benchmark for testing storage devices, including Crystal Disk Mark 7, which shows exactly the same numbers as me copying the files, which is basically either 500 or 550 MB per second in terms of both writing and reading. And I have done these tests multiple times as I wanted to be sure that this SSD is really just this consistent and good. The Crucial BX500 1TB is a really nice SSD that is currently one of the most affordable 1TB SSDs available on the market, and for the asking price you are getting a good quality storage device that will deliver on its promise of affordable speed and extensive storage options. Now obviously the SLC cake will be a drawback, but only if you are going to copy or write data in large amounts at the same time. That way the cake will fill up and your speeds will get lowered. However, don't be discouraged from trying this SSD out as a mass storage device, as this SLC cake will not affect you that much in your day-to-day usage, especially when we are talking about games or other large files that you may want to store on your SSD. The point of the BX500 is to offer you a good price to storage ratio, as you are paying $100 for 1TB of storage on an SSD that uses Micron-made 3D NAND flash memory chips, and those have a great record for performance and reliability. All you need to do is decide if the lack of a DRAM cake will be a deal breaker in choosing your new SSD.